Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Lopez. I'm Gianna Wilcox, your son's special education teacher. Today, I'm going to go over the results of Carlos's Educational Achievement Report with you. I administered the 4th edition of the Woodcock-Johnson to Carlos, which measures achievement in the areas of math, reading, and written language. Do you have any questions before we get started? All right, great. As you know, 8-year-old Carlos is in the 3rd grade general education classroom here at Towson Elementary. When I was working through the test with Carlos, he showed conversational proficiency that's typical for kids in his age and grade. He spoke to me with complex, complete sentences, and he was able to clearly convey his thoughts to me. Carlos was cooperative through most sections of the test. During testing, Carlos was willing to answer the questions without complaints. He never tried to rush me, and he was always patient. Throughout the test, Carlos did appear fidgety and restless at times. For example, he bounced his leg up and down and drummed his fingers on the table. He was attentive to tasks on the test, and he maintained steady concentration. He never tried to change the topic, and when he was not making eye contact with me, Carlos was looking directly at the test booklet. Carlos had an appropriate level of self-confidence and seemed self-assured when giving answers. He never second-guessed himself. Carlos maintained steady breathing and a relaxed posture, which indicates that he was comfortable in the testing environment. At times, Carlos responded too quickly to the test questions. Sometimes, Carlos would guess at a question as soon as it was shown, which did result in him getting several questions incorrect because he didn't take enough time to think through them. Carlos persevered through difficult tasks on the test. When presented with a complex question, he did not appear discouraged. He worked through the problems that required analytical thinking without complaining. The first subtest that I'm going to go over with you is the spelling subtest, which measures a student's ability to write correctly orally presented words. Initial items on this test measure pre-writing skills such as drawing and tracing letters and writing upper and lowercase letters. The remaining items on this test require students to spell dictated words of increasing difficulty. Carlos received a standard score of 66 on this subtest, which places him in the very low range and indicates a need. An analysis of Carlos's performance indicates strengths in forming upper and lowercase letters with a pencil, and a weakness was noted in Carlos's spelling skills because they are non-automatic. The next subtest that we'll go over is the writing sample subtest, which measures a student's ability to write responses to a variety of demands. Items on this test are scored for the quality of expression. Items increase in difficulty by passage length, level of vocabulary, and sophistication of content. Students are not penalized for errors in capitalization, punctuation, or spelling. Carlos received a standard score of 88 on this subtest, which places him in the low average range. This does indicate that Carlos needs extra support with his writing. Carlos has a strength writing simple sentences, but he does struggle to generate sentences with complex structure and details. The third subtest we'll be going over is the sentence writing fluency subtest, which is a 5-minute timed test that measures the student's skill in formulating and writing simple sentences accurately. Each sentence must relate to the stimulus picture and include a given set of 3 words. Carlos received a standard score of 85, which places him in the low average range and does indicate need of extra support. Carlos's performance indicates strengths in his knowledge of subject-verb agreement, but he does have a weakness in his writing rate. Do you have any questions about Carlos's performance on the tests? All right, great. Based on the test results that I've shared with you, I have some recommendations on how we can best support Carlos. Carlos would benefit from using manipulatives during math so that he will be able to have a concrete representation of the basic operations. Based on Carlos's test performance, I do not believe that he's quite ready to use mental math invented strategies, but manipulatives such as base 10 blocks and number racks will support Carlos's math calculations and will be utilized to enhance his fact fluency. Another recommendation that I have for Carlos is that he should have sentence starters provided for him when writing. Sentence starters will support Carlos's writing fluency by setting up the sentence. When giving a written assessment, Carlos's general education teacher will give him the first few words of the sentence to frame his thinking. This will allow Carlos to focus on what information he would like to include in his writing and eliminate excessive struggle formulating the general syntax. Another recommendation is that he would benefit from using Alconin boxes to improve his spelling of multisyllabic words. Alconin boxes are squares which can represent syllables. When asked to spell a difficult multisyllabic word, Carlos can first orally segment the word into syllables by touching the Alconin squares. Once he has segmented the words into syllables, he can write the syllables spelling in the box or audibly spell out the syllable while touching the box. The Elkonin box incorporates a visual and tactile aspect to spelling, which will enhance Carlos's spelling acquisition. Thank you so much for meeting with me today to go over Carlos's educational achievement report.